go-to spot for uncovering today's freshest voices in contemporary Christian music, inspiring authors, comedians, the movers, and the shakers that are shaping the industry we love. We're also rediscovering the classic artists who built the foundation of contemporary Christian music as we know it today. I'm your host, Roger St. James, former contemporary Christian music radio DJ, here to guide you through the stories, sounds, and people behind the music we all love. Whether you're a longtime fan or just starting your journey, get ready to dive deep into the hearts, spirit, and inspirational voices of today's contemporary Christian music. So let's discover together. And today we get to discover Cynthia Lok. She is an amazing artist out of Canada. She's our first Canadian, so I'm very excited since I like to claim my people are from Canada. So please help me welcome Cynthia Lok.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's great to see you. And what I like to do here is before we get started, I am a parent of two amazing young men, and I tend to brag on them. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to brag on your kids with no judgment. So go as long as you want and as braggy as you want, and just tell us how awesome they are.
All right. Well, yeah, I have two kids. I have a daughter. Her name is Kara, and she's 8 years old, and she is just so incredibly sweet, thoughtful. One of my favorite things that I love getting from her are like these little notes that she writes me. And so sometimes when I'm like gone or away and I'm like, okay, don't forget to read your Bible, she'll write me a little note and she'll be like, I read John chapter 15 to 16, and she'll just leave it on my bed, and like she'll make like an envelope, and it's just super cute. So I just love her. Yeah, love her thoughtfulness, and she's so cute and amazing. She's an amazing dancer too. She does Highland dancing. It's like a Scottish dancing. And yes, with the bagpipes and all that. So that's Kara. And then I have Evan. He is my 11-year-old son, and he is so fast and efficient and quick. And he is such a good big brother. And like he knows how to like motivate Kara. And so like she's like on the slower end. Like she likes to take. Actually, she's not slow at all. But like everybody else in the family is super fast.
She likes to take her time. She likes to peruse the situation. She likes to know what's happening.
Yes. And everyone else is so fast. And so like when we need Kara to do something and like she's really taking her time, and like Evan really wants to, for example, play video games, and like they need to do their chores first and need to practice piano and all that. And so he'll be really good at motivating her and getting her to to do things. So I really appreciate him, his spunkiness and his fastness. And so yeah, those are my two kids.
That is, I have to tell you, and I've touched on this before, but my faith was given to me by my mother, and my mother is entering a different phase of her life right now. She's getting ready. She's getting ready to go home, but what I constantly can't thank her enough for is the faith she instilled in me. From and that's why when you mentioned that about your daughter, how she leaves these little notes, building the foundation is so incredibly important, and you're doing that because my mother did that for me. She never beat me over the head with the Bible. My mother actually lived it. She didn't talk about her faith. She just lived it. And when I went through my rebellious phase and all that fun stuff that we think is important, when I realized it wasn't, and I came back to that, I can't thank her enough for having built that into me. And that's exactly what you're doing for your family. And that is so amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. That's what my mom did to me as well. So really
I want
grateful.
I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you that. Where was your faith born?
Yeah, I mean, well, my parents just took me to church. So like they didn't really like talk about it or pray with me or like, talk about Jesus or anything like that. So we went. It was like an activity that we did, but because I was forced to go, and I would say I was forced to go at a certain point, but then it did become my own faith. But because I went, like you hear the message, and even though like you might not want it at the time, like later on when you're going through something, like you remember those times. And so yeah, like my mother, there was one point of time where I went through my rebellion stage as well, and I was in this really unhealthy relationship. And my mother was really concerned for me, and so the pastor encouraged her and said, like, hey, like, don't give up on her, like, pray for her. And so my mom and a couple other the praying ladies they prayed for me. And then, like, one time my boyfriend, he had to leave the country for a while, and it was during that time when God, like, went after me. And then I noticed people who had a relationship with God, and they would talk about him like he would talk back, and that he was a friend. And so that really interested me, but I just knew it was like the Holy Spirit just like grabbing my attention. And for the first time I prayed a real prayer, because prior to that, like, growing up, I was like, oh yeah, bless me on my exam, I want to do well, I want to have a boyfriend, like that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
then when he went away, it was like, Jesus, if you are real, I want to have what they have. Like, they had that fire, like they were just like crazy about God. And so yeah, that it started something, because then from that time, even though I've been in church and grew up in church, like, for like a long time, sermons began to really pierce my heart, and I started to get like, I started crying during service, and I was like, oh, that's new. And then I would listen to a worship song, and then the worship song brought me to tears. And so it was like God was worked in my heart while my boyfriend was away. And then I basically broke up with him
Surprise.
after. Yeah. And so, like, the whole story is like, I just knew that, like, following Jesus, I needed to, like, leave my old life. And I knew if I stayed with him, I wouldn't be able to do that. Like, I just knew I wasn't going to be strong enough to do that. And so, like, I broke up with him over the phone, and I got baptized. Yeah. Because he was not happy with me. I wanted to get baptized. And that's when he was like, are you sure? No, that's not, you shouldn't get baptized. And I was like, okay, that's it. No, I'm going to follow God. I'm going to get baptized, and this relationship is not going to work. And so that was how I came to Christ. And yeah, that's the story.
Isn't it amazing that, I mean, because I went through the same thing. My mother took me to church all the time. But then when it becomes real, that it unless somebody's experienced it, you really can't explain it. And then I fortunately got into the contemporary Christian music world, and this is why I have debates with people, because is God real? Is God not real? When I hear songs like yours, like The Breaker, when I hear songs that are clearly from your heart, and your heart is filled with the Spirit, it moves you. And so that's why I just think it's that's what I want this to be, is telling these great stories like the one you just told, of how you went through the motions for years. And I'm not just saying you went through the motions for years, and then it became real, and how that changed your life. And well, how did that lead you into becoming a performer? Were you always a singer, or did you just
Yeah, I definitely was not. Yeah, I was not a singer. Like, I'm growing up, I auditioned for roles in the elementary and the high school musicals, but I never got the part. So singing did not come naturally to me. But when I came to church, they needed people to sing, and so they kind of like threw me into it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm like so scared. And I was like, I would hide behind the music stand, and like, oh my goodness, I never want to like lead worship ever again. And so it started out that way. But my pastor, she was my spiritual mother. She passed away last year. But she spoke over my life. Like, she spoke words of destiny, and like, she was the one who actually said, like, Cynthia, I see you singing, and when you sing, like, people's hearts will unharden, and they will be healed, and people will accept Jesus. And so she spoke those words over me. And she also said that she saw me as she's pretty old school. She said, I see you as a composer of music, like that Darlene Check girl from
yeah?
Hillsong. And so she said that to me in 2003. And so because of her words, I tried songwriting, and I tried singing. I eventually took lessons, like professional vocal lessons to work on my voice. And then for the songwriting part, I tried writing. I had no background. I was studying to be an accountant at the time. And so I was like, oh my goodness, like, how does like accounting and numbers and music and lyrics go together? Because like lyrics and writing were like my worst subjects in school. Like, I do not like reading poetry, I did not read many books. So so that's why I was like, what are you talking about, Lord? But I tried it. And so to make a long story short, over the from 2003 until now, it's been a journey. And there's been times where I've wanted to give up. There's times where, you know, I would bring a song to church and like it would just be crickets and all sorts of things. But through the journey, every time I was about to quit, God would send someone or a sermon or like a word, or it would just be coming, it would come at the right time. And so I took that as a sign to just continue taking the steps forward. And so it's just literally been step after breadcrumb. And even going onto social media was a thing as well. And so, yeah, it's been a journey. And so, but it started from my pastor's words in 2003. And she kept on over the years. She would continue saying those things. And then eventually there were other people who, like other pastors or prophetic voices that would speak certain things over me as well. And so I just continued to take those steps with the Lord.
Well,
Yeah.
all I can say is thank you for answering the call. That and you mentioned the social media aspect of it, and that's one of the coolest things I discovered. I'm approaching 60, so and I was on the air back in the late 80s and 90s, and when God put this idea of CCM Discovery on my heart, I had no idea what to do with it. So I had to talk to my 22-year-old and and say, okay, show me how to use Instagram, show me how to use TikTok. Facebook I kind of had under control, but the other two so that's where I found you, and that's where I found so many of the other great folks that I've got to meet. How has the social media and Facebook and how has that helped? I mean, I think it's fantastic because right now I'm talking to you on a computer with a little halo light, and we're able to have this conversation. This is not anything that could have remotely been possible back in the days when I was in radio. And when I hear your music, it is produced so beautifully and so well. And how has social media helped you? Because without the record contracts and all that stuff, you're out there. People, I mean, you've won 2 GMA Covenant Awards, so you're out there. How have you used social media to make that happen?
Yeah, I mean, it has been a rough journey with social media. I can say that. Like, it took a while to learn how to post and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it definitely has helped, like you said, to connect with people. And at first, it was really hard because I would post and like there would literally like it would be crickets again. Like, you know, I just couldn't get the algorithm, and I still can't get the algorithm to work. I just don't know how to, you know, like those 18-year-olds who know how to do those TikToks, and then
Oh yeah,
all of a sudden it's like 1 million views. I can't do that. But I am really grateful for the grants. And so like, yeah, I have been posting consistently. I've tried on TikTok. I am on TikTok now. I'm trying. But what's really helped is I have applied for some Canadian grants, and I'm really grateful like God has provided through them. And because of that, and because of some other courses that I took, like I was able to like learn how to run advertisements through socials. And so because of the grant, I got that money and I was able to run advertisements like, here's 20 of my songs and you can get them for $1, you know, and I would do, like sing a little bit of it in the beginning to get people's attention and stuff. And so I've been able to run those twice. And through those advertisements, I was getting like messages from people, and like people have supported like financially. They would buy my music and they'd be like, hey, do you have CDs? And like, you know, and as I did crowdfunding, they would also support my some of them would support my crowdfunding. And so through that, it's just been such an honor to have so many messages come through and just say like, hey Cynthia, like your song just came at the right time, like I just lost my mother, and like your song came and it just, like the Lord used your music to comfort me. Or I've had messages about like, oh Cynthia, I was like thinking about coming back to the Lord, or coming to Jesus, and your song, I heard your song, wholly devoted or whatever, and that helped me to just make that final push and step towards getting baptized, right? And so I've had several messages like that through socials, and so I am extremely grateful for social media to be able to share the music with people. Definitely paid advertisements seem to help. I haven't been able to do the organic organic growth and just have like those views, but I am really grateful for what God has given, and for these platforms. So yeah.
How does it feel to get one of those messages? I can't imagine, because you're doing what you're doing not to get rich, not to become famous, but because it's what God has put on your heart. And everything, your writing, your music, your production comes from that desire, not. And what's it like when you get one of those messages from somebody?
Yeah, I mean, I am so incredibly so honored and so touched and so moved, because like literally it has been a while. And so I had my music out for a while, but because I wasn't able to like learn how to share it on socials, or I didn't have the finances to do marketing, or that kind of stuff, like I actually didn't receive messages for a very long time. So it was like 2017 was the first time I released my album, but I had like 5 people listen to it. I would receive messages from my church though, because back then I was singing my songs at church, and I would have someone come up and just say like, hey, that song like really touched me. And so when I receive messages like that, especially like because of that dry period where there was like literally no feedback or anything like that, um, it means so very much. Like I'm just so honored that I get to partner with God to do this, right? And so like whether or not it's for one person, or whether like I know I'm just being obedient to God, whether or not someone gives me a message or not gives me a message, but to have that message, just like, oh wow, look, here's the fruit of your labor, and here's how you're partnering with me, Cynthia. Like that's how I feel like God is speaking to me. And so yeah, I'm just so honored, so moved, so touched.
And I really love, when I went onto your socials, like your Holy Devoted Ones community. That is such a cool. I mean, I know it's after one of your songs, but I love that phrase, the Holy Devoted Ones community. And where did that come from? Did it come from the song, or was it? I mean, because it's really a very cool slogan.
Yeah, I mean, it came from the song. I think God was gracious because I was like, I took this course and they were like, you need to have a private community and then like think about a name. And I'm like, I'm one of those people that can't, I can think of names for songs, but like, in terms of coming up with a tribe name, it was kind of hard. But yeah, I'm thankful. So I am thankful for that song. It's wholly devoted because it's because of Jesus's blood. We can be wholly devoted to him through his work. And so, yeah.
It's a great slogan, and it 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 just speaks, like you said, to a huge message. Like you said, it's because of the blood we are wholly devoted, and you're a living example of the joy that can come from that. Your music really touched me and is phenomenal. And like I said, I touched on it. You've won 2 GMA Covenant Awards. You got the Song of the Year for My Home. So in a way, I think you're kind of underestimating your impact because you can't become the collaborator of the year if you don't have talent that you're letting God use, and that's one of the coolest things that I like about meeting you and artists like you. You're doing it because it's what you believe and feel you should do, and you're just putting it out there, and that is such a gift, Cynthia.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, it's the socials. I did forget to mention because the socials, that's how I was able to find that person to collaborate with. Um, yeah, and I am grateful. Like sometimes you don't know and that what you have is a gift until people call it out in you. So you know what I mean? Until and so I am really grateful for these. Yeah, there was like songwriting competitions and all that kind of stuff. And so like I would submit my songs to those things and like learn from the feedback and just kind of grow and try to do the best that I can with what God has given me and grow in that. And so but yeah, through socials, I met Jake Fretz, and he's further along in the journey, and he is a great lyricist, and so he helped to refine my home. And then that was the year that we won those awards in Canada, and so in Canada, we got that recognition. So really, really grateful for that, and I just know that it's the Lord opening those doors. Because for a long time, I felt like I was just hitting a wall every time and I was just like, okay, well, if I'm just meant to have these songs for just me and you, God, then that's okay too. And so just over these last several years, God's been opening doors and establishing divine connections and all those kinds of things. And so I'm just really grateful to the Lord. Yeah.
What's it down here in the United States of America, what's it how is the Christian community in Canada?
Yeah, I mean, it's most like in terms of the music Christian community, it is there's like little pockets here and there. It seems like everybody's kind of doing things on their own, but GMA Canada is definitely um, a community where Christian artists can just encourage each other and just learn about the industry and stuff like that. And so I'm a part of that community. And in terms of the Christian community, I mean, yeah, people are mostly like um, within their own churches, getting encouraged and connected and that sort of thing. And so, yeah, that's how it is over here.
Yeah, no, I ask that because I seem I feel that there's a movement. There's definitely an uptick, and I will say it live and in person to you and deal with the consequences. I'm not a big fan of the conglomerate radio stations. I That was one of the things that actually led me to get to meet people like you. I want to hear artists, individual artists. I don't want to hear somebody who sounds like somebody else. And that's what I really like about your music. When I listen to it, I say, "Oh, that's Cynthia Lok." Not, "Oh, that sounds like somebody I heard 10 minutes ago." And so I think there's a movement, and I feel, and I just wondering if it's the same thing, in the Great White North that you guys are noticing as well, because more and more artists are breaking through. The independent artists are breaking through the top 40 charts, the contemporary charts, and definitely we're hearing a lot more about it on the radio and on TV. And I'm just wondering if it's you guys are experiencing that type of revolution, for lack of a better word, up in Canada.
Yeah, I think the indie artist has kind of taken over in the
Yeah,
last maybe
no, you're right.
I don't know, like 5 years or even before that because of social media and all that kind of stuff. And so not many people, I mean, there's still people who want to be part of labels and want to be signed. And obviously, there's probably a lot of artists who still prefer that route because it is easier to get your music out there and to a larger audience. But now if you're an independent artist, yeah, you can just release your music and do everything yourself. I mean, we don't actually in BC where I am, we don't actually have a radio station. So like
You
when
got to
I'm
start one,
contacting
Cynthia. You got to start your own radio station.
radio station, actually no, sorry, there is one in BC. I just met them, but yeah, it seems to be like lots of independent entities doing things now. It's not like this just like this one radio station. I mean, the radio station that is really well known over here, but it's not in BC though. It's actually in the States is Praise 106.5. And so everyone wants to get on
Okay.
that Praise 106.5 station. But yeah, it's just so different now with streaming too. Like a lot of people don't listen to the radio anymore. They just stream music. And or they even listen to music like just on TikTok or
Oh yeah,
whatever
no.
it is. And so it's just different now. It's very different. Yep.
Oh yeah, and as a former radio guy, let me tell you, I can tell you why that is because today's radio is horrible. You know? It there's no community, there's no family. It's in most stations. Maybe you'll get a morning show that's local, but other than that, it's all corporate. So that is one of the big things that led me to want to do this because when I did it, I went out. I was at a radio station in Bayshore, Long Island, and we went to the local Christian bookstore and we met the people and we talked to the people and we went to the local churches and they had little concerts and we were part of the community. Same thing when I was at in Bloomfield, Connecticut. We had we were part of the community. And now it's just not. I mean, there's a few stations hanging on, but you hit it perfectly. That there's no community, so it's pockets. And I think the social media aspect of it, the streaming, has actually become the community.
Yep.
And let's hope that it keeps going until we can figure out a way to buy. You and I, Cynthia, we got to start pooling our funds. We got to buy a radio station. But there's so much hope because of tremendously talented artists like yourself. And and when and we touched base with Eric, my technical wizard, before we came on the air. Your music touches people in amazing ways, and that's I as I was driving back to come to the studio today, I had you on the radio, and I just said I cannot wait to meet her because her music just speaks to me in so many different ways, each song in a different way. And when I listen to it, it's so real, Cynthia. Your music is incredibly real. And what's that like to write something like that?
Well, first of all, I'm again really honored and so grateful. Like I really am. Like even as you're mentioning how it touches you and others, I'm honestly so grateful. Yeah, like a lot of my music, actually all of my music, they come from my encounters with the Lord. So they come from either encounters with the Lord or from messages that He's really speaking directly into my life about. And so those are where the songs come from. And so, like, even for myself, like, I will put on a certain song of mine and it's like a diary for me. And so, like, I'll play the song and there's times where I will play it and I'll just like cry because I remember like where I was and like what I was going through. And that song is like a moment of in my life of how the Lord met me and like what I was struggling with and that sort of thing. And so yeah, like I'm so grateful that my experiences and my encounters with the Lord can encourage and bless people and help them to encounter the Lord too. And so that's my whole prayer, is that people would encounter Him, because honestly, He's the only one who can. He is true peace, He is true joy, He is freedom. Like He's the only one who can bring that, who can bring true peace, freedom, joy, breakthrough. Like he's the only one. And so I'm so grateful that I can partner with Him in that. Yeah, through music and through what I've gone through. So
And it's got to be interesting as when you, like you just said, when you listen back to something you wrote and it takes you back to that moment in time. It's got to be kind of like, thank you, God.
yeah,
I didn't think I was going to get through that. And
yeah,
and you and the words He gave you and the word, and this is why I say to people, thank you for answering the call, because you could have ignored that. You could have been too busy watching Netflix, or you could have been too busy feeling sorry for yourself. But you weren't. You opened up your heart and you answered the call. And that is just so amazing. Before we jump to your song, "The Breaker," you have some new stuff coming out in what did you say, in October, right?
Yeah, and so I've we'll have to do another interview for another time, but yeah,
Oh,
I've
that
been
no,
through a
I'm all for that. I'm having a ball. You're a lot of fun.
yeah, there was a season 2020 until 2023 was a really hard season, and God took me through a lot of inner healing and deliverance, and it was a rough season, and hence bitter into sweet. Like that's exactly what God was doing in my life and in my family's life, and even as I transitioned out of an old church to a new church. And so that I had that album out, and then I had Promise out, and then so this new stuff that's coming out is it's I'm really excited about. It's about many of the songs are about remembering like what God has done and thanking Him, and so it's a little bit. It is a little slightly different. It's not as much storytelling as my other stuff, but I really this is an offering to the Lord. Of just worship and thanksgiving for everything that He's done, and so it's remembering what God has done, thanking Him for it, and worshiping Him for that. And so some of the songs touch on that. There are some songs which will be like God singing over the person as well. But yeah, so I'm excited. My first song is gonna come out in October. I can't talk. October, and it is called "As Long as I Live." And there's a verse in the Bible, and I don't know off the top of my head, but it's in Psalms, and it says that I will bless the Lord and I will sing to Him as long as I live. And that's really my heart. And my heart is that no matter what people are going through, that they would be encouraged to do that as well. That no matter what comes at you in life, that He is so worthy of our praise, as long as we live, like on this side on earth. Because on this side there's pain, there's trouble, there's tears, but like one of those, in eternity He's going to wipe away every tear. There's going to be no more pain, no more sadness. And so it's here on this side where we get to offer Him an offering that costs us. It's our worship, even in those trials and those tribulations and those tests. And yeah, He's worthy of it. And so yeah, I want to bless Him and sing to Him as long as I live. So that's the song that's coming out.
It's just the fruit of another season of your walk with the Lord, and that is it's so cool. Now, before we jump to the breaker, we do something here. It's pretty much selfishly motivated. My youngest son is profoundly autistic. His name is Matthew, and we use timers with him. And a while back, for some reason, I set a timer for 5 minutes, and he said, "And 9 seconds." Don't know why, but what I did realize at that point is that 9 seconds matters. It matters to him, and you can actually say a lot in 9 seconds. So what I like to do here is I call it Matthew's 9 seconds of wisdom. So if you can, and I don't use a timer, secret, I don't use a timer, but if you could just give us something, 9 seconds of Matthew's wisdom, before we jump into your song.
Yeah, my tips, my wisdom. Enjoy your walk with the Lord. Your journey and your walk and your relationship and your intimacy with Him is the only thing that matters, and it's the only thing that will satisfy. He is the only thing that satisfies. And so he's worthy of your time. He's worthy of you spending time with Him and talking with Him. He loves you. So yeah.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Cynthia. Do you have any history behind the breaker before we jump into that you want to share with us?
Yeah, that song, I wrote that song for the church. I'm not part of the church anymore because my pastor, she passed away. But back then, our church was going through a lot of different things, and even my pastor herself, she was going through something, and it was just like this wall. And so I wrote this song for people who needed to encounter the Lord as the breaker. He's the one who rips open prison doors, and He makes a way when there is no way, and He turns situations around. And so when we had a service one time, and I was actually singing the song live, and my pastor was going through something. And when I sang the song, she immediately felt a peace in her heart that she hadn't felt in 3 months. And then, literally, the next day, that dead end situation, it turned around 180 degrees. So it just, God opened the door. Like, she experienced God as the breaker. And so this happened. So yeah, that's the song, The Breaker.
And I don't want to get in the way of anything. So right now, Cynthia, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to meet you, and I'm really looking forward to hearing more about. Well, we'll talk before October, but I'm looking forward to talking to you in October when you release your new single. But together, let's enjoy Cynthia Lok and The Breaker. Thank you so much, Cynthia.